Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 62 of season 3 of this podcast. Hey, let me just mention a couple things about this podcast. My hope, goal, prayer is that ultimately you would have friendship with God, that you would have fellowship with God, and that this podcast could encourage you towards walking towards that goal and pointing you towards that way. And that you might use it as a part of your routine, that you would event stack it in your life, maybe listen to it when you brush your teeth or when you're in the shower or with a cup of coffee, and that someday we could talk about these things together. I know it's been kind of a one-sided conversation, but, it's not over yet. That you would share this podcast. And I was thinking about this, all these episodes that we've been looking at in the resurrection. We're going to look in John today, John chapter 20. And they all shared. The angels were sharing. Jesus was sharing. Mary was sharing. The good news is to be shared. So share the podcast, if you will. All right, I have a snarky question, then I have some real spiritual questions. My snarky question is, who folded the face cloth? Listen in, the resurrection story from John 20. Now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early while it was still dark and saw that the stone had been taken from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved, and said to them, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." So Peter went out with the other disciple, and they were going towards the tomb. Both of them were running together, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. And stooping to look in, he saw the linen cloths lying there, but he did not go in. Then Simon Peter came, following him, and went into the tomb. He saw the linen cloths lying there, and the face cloth, which had been on Jesus' head, not lying with the linen cloths, but folded up in a place by itself. Then the other disciple, who had reached the tomb first, also went in, and he saw and believed. For as yet they did not understand the scripture, that he must rise from the dead. Then the disciples went back to their homes. So first to the snarky question, who folded the face cloth? If you rose from the dead and had something over your face, maybe that's the first thing you were taking. So Jesus could have folded the face cloth. The angels could have folded the face cloth. And the Father, spiritually, heavenly, could have folded the face cloth. Now, I don't think it was the people. And why do I say that? Because as far as the people goes, this is the cool thing about all these resurrection stories. We get their last moments of unbelief. So all these people are going to believe. John is going to believe. Peter is going to believe. The disciples are going to believe. Mary Magdalene is going to believe. Jesus' family is going to believe. Everybody's going to believe. But we get to see the last instance before something incredible happens. Their last moments of being, I call these guys knuckleheads at the resurrection, where there's running and incomplete data. It's like a telephone game of communication and misunderstanding and really I would say more not yet understanding. That's really what it is. And we sit here as like readers of this great novel, with our 40,000 foot view and knowing how it all turns out and say, man, these guys were just crazy. Running first, one guy doesn't go in, the other guy does go in. One stoops a little bit because the tomb is low. The other guy goes right in. And then this is kind of what they find, and they don't really understand. Boy, if I was there, I would understand. No, let's cut these people some slack. That they didn't know that this would be their last day of unbelief. They didn't know that these would be the last moments of disbelief. So something is happening here that's going to change everything for these people. I recently had a friend that died, and the wife wrote just very poignantly in the funeral program that the morning of his death, he was sweeping the porch and doing something very regular and daily and even mundane. But God knew that something was happening for him, that it was going to be the best day of his life as he went to paradise, the worst day of his wife's life, but the best day of his life as he just got rocketed into paradise. And he didn't know, but God knew. So we see Peter and John coming to belief, or at least one of them. Then the other disciple, which is John, usually that means John because he was referring to himself in a humble way, who had reached the tomb first, also went in and saw and believed. That's what this is all about. So we see right here, everything is going to change for John. At this moment, this is John chapter 20, verse 8, and he goes from being an unbeliever to a believer, I think, at this moment. So these guys, what makes them believe? Well, the Lord has been preparing them. They're certainly enthusiastic. They run, they jump in the tomb. They say they're going to go to Jerusalem with Jesus and defend him. They've been thinking hard about God. They've been wrestling with God in certain ways. And I think there's a humility that comes with having seen this, but I think they were ready. I think Peter was ready because of his humility. I think he got challenged by the slave girl. I think that probably was a watershed moment of him, the denials. So a couple things today. I think, wouldn't it be interesting if we could understand our last moments of belief and get a video camera of it and watch it? I think the Lord has been merciful. The Lord sees, the Lord knows. May he help us all move into the moment from being unbelief to belief. And if that's you today, dear listener, that you're not a believer, maybe this is the moment that heaven is taking a video camera of you, and yielding of your spirit is going to be the big thing, and you would be a bit of a knucklehead beforehand and a early believer after it's all over. May that happen today. May this podcast help you. May the Lord especially help you and guide you in that. If today is the day of your salvation, he is going to help you. Thank you for listening. Thanks for listening to the resurrection. What a joy. Tomorrow we get to hear about Mary Magdalene, one of my favorites. I'll see you then.